Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. I hope all of you are fine and doing well. So, topic here we will discuss today it is the electrolytic cell. Basically, electrolytic cell is the type of the electrochemical cell, and this is the cell in which the type of non-spontaneous chemical reaction takes place. Non-spontaneous chemical reaction takes place means the chemical reaction that requires the assistance of energy from outside in with the help of any type of the battery or any other energy source. That type of reaction we called as the non-spontaneous chemical reaction. And here, when the electrical current is just passed through the solution, this cell is called as the electrolytic cell. The simple way in this chemical reaction, the electrical energy is being converted into the chemical energy. So to run a chemical reaction here we require the battery or any source of energy so that electrical energy or the electrical current will convert it into the chemical energy. So this is a simple definition or overview about the electrolytic cell. This cell is basically used in daily life and we may have a lot of examples of the electrolytic cells. Here the electrolytic cell is called as the Nelson cells. We have the Nelson's cell, and the second type we have the Down's cell. These two types of the cells are called as the electrolytic cells. Basically, these are the examples of this cell. After this, we have the simple construction of the electrolytic cell. Here we have the simple electrolytic cell in which we just take a container, and in this container we have to fill it within an electrolyte. So you guys also know that what does mean by the electrolyte. Electrolyte is the substance that is used to conduct electricity when we take its aqueous solution. So it is filled up with n type of the electrolyte. Likewise, we can say that Mx. And we just insert two electrodes in it. Now these electrodes will work as a conductor. The one electrode is called as anode, and anode is attached to the positive end of the battery, and the other electrode is called as the cathode, and cathode is attached to the negative end of the battery. So in turn, anode is having positive charge and cathode is having negative charge. This is the source of battery that is attached to it. Now, when we insert these two electrodes in the electrolyte solution and we attach its two ends with the battery, here the flow of the electrons will be started. Now, the electrons will flow from anode to cathode. If the substances or the elements are going to lose electrons at anodes, so means the process of oxidation will take place at anode. So you guys must know that at anode there will be the process of oxidation. And when we talk about the cathode, as electrons are moving from anode to cathode, and the substances will gain the electrons at the cathode. So here there will be a process of reduction takes place. So oxidation will always takes place at anode and the reduction will always takes place at the cathode. This is the main point of this process, that the process of oxidation and reduction takes place. So overall this reaction can be called as the redox reaction that is taking place in the electrolytic cell. So this is a simple construction of the electrolytic cell and how do the chemical reaction just takes place over there. After this we have the chemical reaction that is happening in the electrolytic cell. If we take the substance that is sodium chloride, is in the solid state, and when we get dissolve it in the water, it will be dissociated into its ions at sodium positive and chlorine negative. Now, the process of oxidation takes place at the anode, in which the chlorine as carrying negative charge, it will forms the chlorine gas, and here the two electrons will be given off. Now these electrons will move towards the cathode, and as the sodium as was in the positive state gains the electron and changes into the sodium metal. So the overall process for this reaction, we have sodium in the positive state and chlorine is in the negative state. Now the sodium changes into the sodium metal by gaining the electron as it was in the form of the ions. On the other hand, the chlorine, it was present in the negative form. It will lose electrons and two chlorine atoms will combine with one another and changes into the chlorine gas and will be escaped. So the electrochemical cell involves both the process of oxidation and reduction. We can also call it as the type of redox reaction is taking place at the electrolytic cell. And we have already learned the two types of the cell, which is simple Nelson and Down cells. They both will work as an electrolytic cell. So this was a simple process that is taking place in or that takes place in the electrolytic cell. And the overall reaction is very simple, in which the one is undergoing the oxidation and the other is undergoing reduction. We can also have another example or the simple general process. For example, here we have the MX. It dissociated into ions positive and X negative. So this process will take place at anode and that process will take place at the cathode. So the metal will undergoes the process and the non-metal will also undergoes the process. So oxidation and reduction takes place simultaneously and overall the redox reaction is happening over there. So this was all about today's lecture. I hope you guys understand, and if you have any queries, you may ask me about that in the comment section and I will get back to you guys soon. The next topic that we will discuss, it is the electrolysis of water or the process of electrolysis complete. For that time, you guys keep learning and have a good day.